Welcome to LFC Transfer HQ, your ultimate source for all things Liverpool FC transfers. Like and subscribe for more football updates. Our first news is Mo Salah moment sums up Liverpool's struggles in Carabao Cup final defeat. Liverpool 1-2 Newcastle United. Liverpool are still well on track to end the season as Premier League champions, but the Reds fell well short against Newcastle at Wembley. After Alexander Isak had lost Virgil van Dijk and half-volleyed Newcastle United towards a first domestic trophy in 70 years, Mohamed Salah put his hand on his hips and trudged silently back upfield. To a man, his teammates did the same. Even Van Dijk, even the skipper, was unable to raise a shout of defiance or conjure up a gesture of encouragement. It was an empty response in a largely empty performance. A performance devoid of all the things that have turned the Premier League title race into a Liverpool lap of honor. Dynamism, determination, imagination, intelligence, physicality, fight. Yes, if you had told Arne Slot how his first season as Liverpool manager would pan out, he would have signed for it. In a heartbeat, probably. But he would not have signed for a display as limp as this in a Wembley final. For a while now, celebrating a tackle, or a block, has been a thing. And we are talking full-blown, fist-pumping celebrations. Joe Linton, an outstanding performer, was at it midway through the first half after tracking back for a good few yards and dispossessing Jarell Quansah. Considering it was a relatively routine piece of work, his primal scream was a bit much, but Joe Linton's roar was a loud symbol of the difference between these two sides. In the 52 minutes it took for Newcastle to take a 2-goal lead, the opener a thumping header from Dan Burn late in the first half, they were so much more intense, so much more committed, so much more aggressive, it was startling. Quite simply, the Premier League champions-elect were, up until the final throes of the match, a passive shambles of a side. Clearly, there was a physical issue in play, that extra time against a supremely fit Paris Saint-Germain taking an obvious toll. Newcastle's midfield made Liverpool's midfield look ponderous. And there must surely have been psychological factors involved, the dramatic nature of their Champions League exit creating an inevitable sense of deflation. Plus, with the Premier League title as good as sealed, perhaps one or two, subconsciously, feel their hard work is done. And to a certain extent, of course, it is. The pain of this loss was immediate, but there can be no diluting Liverpool's Premier League achievement. And when the season is over, they will be able to reflect on it with pride. But you have to wonder if there will be any ramifications from this one day. Stay tuned for more updates on LFC Transfer HG, transfer moves, player signings, and latest news. Don't miss subscribe for more Liverpool FC transfer news. Our second news is Gary Neville fumes at VAR after late call in Newcastle's Carabao Cup final triumph. Bruno Guimaraes promised Newcastle fans when he signed and they were threatened by relegation that he would do everything he could to lead them to a trophy. On Sunday he delivered. Newcastle United beat Liverpool to win the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, but the Magpies' 2-1 victory wasn't without its VAR drama, to the frustration of Gary Neville. Gary Neville wasn't best pleased with the time it took for VAR to award Liverpool's late goal in the Carabao Cup final. Federico Chiesa was initially flagged offside as he slotted the ball beyond Nick Pope during second-half stoppage time at Wembley. After a lengthy check, though, the Italian's goal was ruled to be legal. Neville has been vocal about some refereeing calls already this season. In this instance, though, he argued the issue was not a mistake per se but rather the fear of making one. VAR took an age to make the decision, the former Manchester United captain said during Sky Sports coverage. Scared of their own shadow now to make a mistake. Ultimately, Chiesa's goal didn't affect the final result. Newcastle led 2-0 at the time, with Dan Burn and Alexander Isak on target, and survived what ended up being more than 10 added minutes to hold out for victory and their first major domestic trophy in 70 years. It was his, Dan Burn's, game, Isak told Sky Sports. He is brilliant. If he can score goals then great, but it's the way he defends. That sets the foundation for us. This is really just the start. We will see more from the fans and what it means for the people when we get back to Newcastle. We are all aware of how long it's been for the fans without a trophy. Liverpool's defeat meant manager Arne Slot will need to wait for his first trophy. The Reds remain top of the Premier League, but the reverse at Wembley caps a painful week which also saw them eliminated from the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain. The game was slow and not intense, so it's difficult to judge for me if we were physically ready, Slot said. Mentally, that's always a difficult one. If you look at the result and the performance you might feel it maybe did something to us, but I prefer to look at how the game went. And this game went exactly the way they wanted it to be, a fight with a lot of duels and a lot of duels through the air. And if we play 10 times a game of football through the air against them, they win it probably 9 times because they are a stronger team through the air than us, which led to the first goal and the second goal because the second goal was also a header that they won at the second post that fell for Isaac and led to the 2-0. Stay tuned for more updates on LFC Transfer HG, transfer moves, player signings, and latest news. Don't miss subscribe for more Liverpool FC transfer news. Our last news is Newcastle star labels Carabao Cup final win as the best day of my life. Bruno Guimaraes promised Newcastle fans when he signed and they were threatened by relegation that he would do everything he could to lead them to a trophy. On Sunday he delivered. Bruno Guimaraes described winning Newcastle United's first major domestic trophy in 70 years as the best day of my life. The victorious captain was in tears after Eddie Howe's team put in a stunning Wembley performance to lift the Carabao Cup. It's all for these fans, he declared. They deserve everything. When I first came here, I said I wanted to put my name in history. We can now say we are the champions again. I don't have any words. It's the best day of my life. For them, the fans, it's like the World Cup. People have grown up and not seen us as champions. My first year as captain of this club. This is unbelievable. This is my second home. We are making history. Someday, when I leave this club, I want the fans to sing my name the way they do to Shearer. He texted me before the game. I'm so emotional. And Dan Burn, who scored the opener before Alexander Isak doubled the lead and has also been named in the England squad, said, I've had worse weeks. I don't want to go to sleep because I feel like I'm dreaming and it's all going to be a lie. Howe said, it was an incredible day. I thought we were magnificent. It was not a lucky win. It was great. This club has had its fair share of difficult moments, so I am glad the fans have got this trophy. Hopefully we can get some more in the future. This is a day we will never forget. And Howe became emotional when talking about his feelings at the final whistle, explaining how he thought of making his late mum proud. And now, I've got 3 boys and I want to make them proud, he declared. Stay tuned for more updates on LFC Transfer HG, transfer moves, player signings, and latest news. Don't miss subscribe for more Liverpool FC transfer news.